Chapter 6 and 7 of The Giver explain a big event that changes the path of Jonas's life. First, here is the sequence of events for the 2 chapters. The first thing we read in these chapters is that Jonas's family prepares to go to the age ceremonies together. Remember, the age ceremonies are like a big community birthday party since everybody turns a year older on the same day. At the age ceremonies, Jonas watches the ceremonies for children turning 1 to 8 years old. The next day, Jonas watches the ceremonies for children turning 9 to 11 years old. Jonas is turning 12, so he goes to participate in his ceremony. Although Jonas is supposed to be participating in the ceremony to turn 12, he's skipped. We are going to explore these events in more detail. Let's talk about the age ceremonies first. These ceremonies happen in an auditorium. Most American towns have these. They are large buildings for lots of people together. During the age ceremonies, everybody takes a seat. On stage are the children turning a year older. Their friends and family watch from the audience. These children receive new clothing, haircuts, or other items each year. Here are some details Lois Lowry gives us about what Jonas sees at the age ceremony. At 1 year old, babies have the naming of ones. At this time, babies are given a name and they are given to a family. 2s, 3s, and 4s each get items, but Jonas isn't paying attention. Then Jonas has lunch with his friends. After lunch, the 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s have their ceremonies. Jonas watches as Lily gets a new jacket. That was day 1. The next day, Jonas sees more ceremonies. The family goes back to the auditorium, and they all take their seat. On this day, the 9s have their ceremony. 9s receive a bicycle. 10s receive their first haircut. 11s receive new clothes that are more mature or grown up. Jonas has lunch with his friends again, and we learn that Jonas and his friends are all nervous because their ceremony is next. Asher jokes about applying for release if he doesn't get a good job. Remember, nobody knows what release means other than that people leave, and nobody knows what job they will get assigned. Finally, it's time for the ceremony of the 12s. As I stated before, Jonas is supposed to be getting his job just like his friends, but he skipped. Here's how it happened. Every child in Jonas's group has a number. When a number is called, that student is told their job. First is number 1, then number 2. Jonas is number 19. We don't know who number 1, 2, or 3 are, but Asher is number 4. He's assigned to be Assistant Director of Recreation. This means that Asher will be working on the playground. Jonas's friend Fiona is 18, and she's assigned to be a caretaker of the old. This means that she will be helping the old people who live in the home Jonas visited a few chapters ago. Jonas is getting ready to stand up because he is next, but Pierre, who is 20, gets called up instead of Jonas. They skipped 19. When Jonas gets skipped, it is not normal. Somebody is being treated differently. Everybody notices this and is very, very uncomfortable. This breaks a lot of the rules that the community lives by. Poor Jonas is the most upset of all. In the next chapter, you will find out why Jonas was skipped. It wasn't an accident. But before we get to that, let's think about an important idea that this story explores. Utopia versus dystopia. This is a T-chart. It shows the differences between 2 ideas. The T-chart is for differences between utopias and dystopias. A utopia is an imagined place where everything is perfect. A dystopia is an imagined place where everything is bad. Neither of these places are real. They are places made up by artists and authors to explain an idea. In a utopia, people like to think that there is plentiful food. Nobody is hungry. Everybody feels happiness, and there is no pain. But in a dystopia, people might think that food is scarce, so people go hungry. There might be anguish, and there might be pain. When we think about utopias and dystopias like this, which one would you rather live in? The world of the giver kind of sounds like a utopia. There is no pain, no unhappiness, and there is plenty of food. Everything is planned. However, Lois Lowry is beginning to show us that a utopia might actually be a dystopia in disguise. Let's look at an example. In this book, everybody acts the same. This might be utopian because then everybody can fit in and feel safe and like they belong. However, it might be dystopian because people aren't allowed to be unique or to celebrate differences. In this world, people take medicine to erase strong feelings and pain. This might be good because then nobody has to worry about depression, anger, or heartbreak. However, nobody can experience passion or excitement or love. This book gives many examples of how something might seem perfect at first, but could actually be harmful. Let's look at 3 examples. The matching of spouses. A spouse is a person you are married to, a husband or wife. In this book, we learn that all of the factors, disposition, energy level, intelligence, and interests, had to correspond and interact perfectly. So people are matched to their husband or wife based on factors or details like mood and intelligence. This might be perfect because it means men and women are carefully picked to go together. There would be less fights. People would feel equal. However, it also means that men and women don't get to choose their life partner. We also read that after couples are married, their match is monitored by the Committee of Elders for 3 years before they could apply for children. That might be good because the committee makes sure that each couple is healthy before they have children. However, it also means that couples are not allowed to choose for themselves if they can have children. Another example of how this world could be utopian or dystopian is how everything is carefully designed. I will show you how I build my thoughts around this idea. First, I take an overall statement of something that I've noticed in the book. I find a piece of text evidence. That means a sentence I copy straight from the book. Next, I draw a conclusion about what that evidence means. How does this evidence show the world is utopian? Then I repeat this, but I question how this evidence shows the world is dystopian. So, in this story, I noticed something. This community has designed everything, from the type of clothes that children receive to when adults can have children. So here's my evidence. They wore jackets so they would learn interdependence. They are given pockets to show they are mature. They are observed for a year before being given a job. You know it is evidence from the story because I can write what page number I found it on. So how does this evidence show that the world might be utopian? This means that there are no surprises and everybody learns and grows at the same time. However, this evidence also shows that the world might be dystopian because this means that nobody can be different or choose their own life. Here's one more example of how Jonas's world can be seen as utopian or dystopian. Chapters 6 and 7 mention a boy named Fritz. Fritz is Jonas's neighbor, and he is very disorderly or messy. First, I look for details I learn about Fritz and I write those down. This is my evidence. Then I think about how the evidence might show how the world is utopian or dystopian. Here is what I found. Fritz was a very awkward child who had been summoned for chastisement again and again. Chastisement means he is being scolded or punished. What does Fritz do wrong? His shoes are on the wrong feet, his schoolwork is misplaced, and he doesn't study. Again, I know this is good evidence because I can write a page number to go along with it. I copied it straight from the text. So, how does this show that the world might be utopian? This means that the community wants everything to be in order. However, this also means that there is a lot of pressure to be in order and to act like everybody else. These two chapters introduced a lot of the utopian dystopian theme, and they also presented a really important event in Jonas's life. Stay tuned and keep reading to learn why Jonas got skipped and what his new job will be.